When you sit in silence and think of all the chances you lost, the jobs that slipped through your fingers, the people who walked away, the doors that closed just as you reached them. You replay the what-ifs, the if-onlys, and the almosts like a broken record in your mind. You wonder why things didn't go as planned, why every opportunity seemed to arrive too early or too late. But what if I told you that there was never a missed opportunity in the eyes of God? What if every detour, every rejection, every delay was a divine redirection? Because when God is involved, missed opportunities are not dead ends. They are sacred pauses. They are seasons where He rearranges the details of your life to align perfectly with His timing. You see, man's disappointment is often heaven's realignment. We think something has gone wrong, but in truth, something deeper is being set right. When you missed that chance, you didn't lose your destiny. You were being protected from the wrong timing. God was holding you back, not to punish you, but to position you. For when His time comes, the same doors that once shut will open effortlessly, and the same paths that once led to nowhere will lead directly into His promise. Have you noticed how the most beautiful things in life cannot be rushed? A seed cannot bloom before its appointed season. The sunrise doesn't burst forth at midnight. The ocean doesn't roar on command. All of creation is tuned to divine timing, and so are you. So perhaps what you thought was a missed opportunity was never missed at all. It was only waiting for the moment when you were ready to receive it, and when it could serve your purpose without destroying your peace. There's a reason God sometimes says not yet. He sees what you cannot. He knows the weight of what you're asking for. He knows that success too early can become a curse, that relationships before maturity can end in heartbreak, and that doors opened by pride can lead to destruction. His delays are never denials. They are training grounds. They build endurance, humility, and faith, so that when the miracle comes, you'll be strong enough to carry it. Think about Joseph. The boy with dreams of greatness found himself in a pit, then in prison. Years passed, and every opportunity to escape seemed lost. Yet when God's timing finally arrived, Joseph didn't just regain what he lost. He was elevated beyond imagination. Every moment of pain was transformed into purpose. Every missed chance became a divine setup for something far greater. Or consider Ruth. Her life seemed shattered, her husband gone, her future uncertain, but her loyalty and patience led her right into the field of destiny. What looked like loss was, in truth, alignment. God used what appeared as an ending to write the most beautiful beginning. And so it is with you. The opportunities you think you've missed, the job, the relationship, the moment, were never mistakes. They were movements in a symphony you could not yet hear. God's hand was quietly orchestrating timing so perfect that when it arrives, it will feel like destiny itself has waited for you. Do not let despair blind you to the miracle being written behind the scenes. Because soon you'll look back and realize that every unanswered prayer, every no, every closed door was not a punishment, but a preservation. God didn't forget you. He was preparing the stage for your arrival. There will come a day when everything makes sense. The tears, the pauses, the confusion, all of it will connect like pieces of a divine puzzle. You'll understand that what you thought was loss was simply heaven's way of clearing the path for a miracle of timing. When God restores what was lost, He never brings it back in fragments. He multiplies it. He refines it. He turns what you thought was over into something more beautiful than you dared to dream. So rest. Stop chasing what's already in God's plan. The time you thought was wasted was actually invested in your becoming. The doors that didn't open were saving you from paths that would have broken you. The hands that let go we're releasing you into freedom. Every missed opportunity is about to become a miracle of timing. And when that moment comes, it won't require striving. It will simply fit. It will feel as though every detour, every heartbreak, and every delay was written with divine precision to bring you right where you were always meant to be. The same God who let it slip away is the one who will bring it back transformed. And when he does, you'll understand why it had to happen this way. Because the author of time never misses his cue. There are seasons in your life when everything feels like it's standing still. You pray, you plan, you move forward with faith, yet doors remain locked, dreams seem delayed, and your spirit grows weary of waiting. You start to wonder if maybe you've been forgotten, or if perhaps you misheard what God promised you. But the truth is, divine delay is not divine denial. It's divine preparation. What looks like inactivity is often the most critical part of your development, because while you wait, heaven works. God's delays are not careless pauses. They are sacred intervals where the unseen work is being done. There are layers of life that must mature before destiny can safely unfold. Like the roots of a great tree growing deep beneath the soil before it ever rises to meet the soil, your preparation happens in hiddenness. You can't see the progress, but something is strengthening you beneath the surface. Your patience, your character, your faith, and your endurance are all being refined. God is not just preparing the blessing, He is preparing you to handle it. If He were to release everything you prayed for right now, could you carry it? Could you sustain it? Could you protect it from the weight of pride or fear or distraction? God knows the answer, and that is why He waits. Every delay is His mercy in disguise, buying you time to grow into the person who can hold the magnitude of what He has promised. Sometimes the very thing you're asking for requires you to become someone entirely new, and transformation always takes time. Think of a sculptor standing before a block of marble. To the untrained eye, it seems like he's wasting time, standing still, measuring angles, visualizing shapes before making a single cut. But in reality, he is already creating. The waiting is part of the artistry. Each pause between the strikes of his chisel is as purposeful as each movement. So it is with God. The waiting you despise is part of the shaping He designs. He knows exactly where to apply pressure and when to let you rest. You might see the waiting season as a delay. God sees it as a design. He is aligning people, places, and timing with perfect precision. Sometimes the blessing you prayed for isn't ready yet, not because you're unworthy, but because the environment it belongs to isn't complete. The people who are meant to walk with you haven't arrived. The opportunities that will sustain your purpose haven't yet matured. God's timing is not a reaction, it's an orchestration. While you sit in silence, heaven is setting the stage for a moment so divine that when it unfolds, everything will fit perfectly. Patience is not passive, it's an act of trust. It's believing that God's silence doesn't mean absence, and His delay doesn't mean distance. Every day you wait faithfully, you demonstrate your belief that His plan is better than your timeline. You are saying, I trust you even when I don't see movement. I believe you're working even when I don't feel progress. That kind of faith moves mountains because it refuses to be shaken by the illusion of delay. When the time finally comes, the things that once seemed impossible will unfold effortlessly. The blessing you waited for will arrive not through struggle, but through divine alignment. You will realize why every delay was necessary. The pieces you thought were lost will come together with precision so perfect, it will make you weep with gratitude. What once felt like wasted time will reveal itself as the very season that prepared you for greatness. So if it feels like God is taking too long, Remember this: He is never late, He is never early, He is always on time. The same God who created the stars to appear at the right hour and the sun to rise without fail will not miss the moment appointed for your breakthrough. He delays only to ensure that when the door opens, it will not close again. Every second of waiting is heaven shaping you into the vessel worthy of His promise. You may not see the miracle yet, but it's growing quietly, hidden in the soil of preparation. And when it finally blooms, you will understand that every moment of waiting was worth it, because what God builds slowly, He establishes forever. There are moments when something slips through your hands so suddenly that you can almost feel the echo of what could have been. The job you didn't get, the person who walked away, the opportunity that dissolved just before it became real. You stand there wondering why God allowed it to happen. It feels cruel at first, as though heaven turned its face while you watched your hope fade. But what if that loss was never meant to destroy you? What if it was meant to protect you? What you call loss, God often calls protection. You see only the door that closed, but He sees what was waiting behind it. He sees the hidden motives, the unseen traps, the weight you weren't meant to carry. He knows the pain that might have followed what you thought would bring you peace. His silence was not abandonment, it was mercy. There are some things that look perfect from a distance, but are poison up close. And in His wisdom, God removes them before they have the chance to wound your soul. We often think that blessings should arrive in bright packages, visible, immediate, and easy to recognize. But divine protection doesn't always look like favor. Sometimes it looks like loss. Sometimes it looks like disappointment. Sometimes it feels like betrayal. Yet, behind every heartbreak, there is a loving hand saying, "You may not understand this now, but one day you'll thank me." Think about a child running toward the edge of a cliff, believing they are chasing something beautiful. A butterfly, perhaps. A loving parent will stop that child, even if the child screams and cries in frustration. The child sees restriction. The parent sees rescue. In the same way, God intercepts your path when danger hides behind desire. You cry because you wanted the butterfly, but He sees the cliff you didn't. There are relationships you prayed would last, yet they ended without explanation. There are careers you wanted to build that never took off. There are plans you made that fell apart before they began, but as the years pass, you begin to see what God saw all along. The person who left would have broken you. The success you craved would have crushed your spirit. The timing you wanted would have robbed you of growth. His denial was not rejection. It was redirection. When you trust that truth, your heart begins to rest. You no longer see the loss as punishment, but as protection. You stop asking, "Why did I lose it?" and start saying, "Thank you, God, for what you saved me from." There is a peace that comes when you stop fighting His will and start believing His wisdom. Because every time something leaves your life, God is making space for something better, something aligned with your future rather than your fears. Imagine if every loss you experienced was not a subtraction but a safeguard. Imagine if the things that hurt you most were the very things that spared you from greater harm. That is how divine protection works. It doesn't always guard you with visible shields. Sometimes it guards you through invisible prevention. You'll never know how many tears you were spared, how many betrayals you avoided, how many wrong turns God quietly erased from your path. One day you will look back at the chapters that once broke your heart, and you'll see the fingerprints of mercy on every page. You'll realize that while you were crying over what you lost, God was rejoicing over what He kept from you. The delays, the detours, the disappointments, All of them were barriers built by grace. And when the right opportunity arrives, you'll feel the difference. It will not drain you, confuse you, or demand you to shrink. It will fit effortlessly. It will come with peace, not pressure, clarity, not chaos. That's how you'll know it was God's timing all along. The moment it happens, you'll understand why every other door had to close. So hold no bitterness for what you lost. Let gratitude replace grief, because the same God who allowed the storm was the one who kept you from drowning in it. His protection may not always feel gentle, but it is always good. What you call a loss today will one day reveal itself as the shield that saved your destiny. There are days when you feel like life has forgotten your name. You watch others moving forward while you remain still, waiting for something, anything, to change. You start to wonder if you missed your moment, if the chance to rise has already passed you by. You count the years, the prayers, the unanswered hopes, and somewhere in your heart, a quiet question begins to form. Has God forgotten me? But He hasn't. He never has. He never will. Because His timing is not late, it's perfect. You see, God does not operate according to human clocks. Time bends to His will. What feels like delay to you is often the rhythm of His design. We measure time by minutes and months. He measures it by maturity and meaning. There are things He cannot release until both the promise and the person are ready to meet. You might be prepared emotionally but not spiritually, or skilled in ability but untested in humility, and because He loves you too deeply to let you collapse under the weight of premature blessings. He waits. When God holds you in waiting, it's not because He's ignoring your prayer. It's because He's preparing a stage that your faith will one day walk upon. Every divine promise requires alignment of people, circumstances, timing, and purpose. Like a master composer arranging a symphony, God ensures that every note plays at its appointed time. If He were to rush the melody, it would lose its harmony. So, He waits for the perfect moment when every part of your life, past pain, present endurance, and future reward, intertwines into one flawless movement of grace. Sometimes what feels like God's silence is actually His synchronization. You see nothing happening, but heaven is moving in quiet precision. Behind the curtain of your waiting, God is positioning hearts, opening paths and shifting events that must align before your miracle arrives. You may think He's late, but He's never off schedule. You're not behind. He's building you to arrive exactly on time. Consider how nature reflects this truth. The sun never rises early or late. The ocean never forgets when to retreat or return. The stars appear in the night sky exactly when darkness is ready for their light. Everything in creation obeys divine timing, and so do you. Your season will arrive the same way dawn breaks, inevitably, beautifully, and right when the world needs your light. But here's the test. Can you remain faithful when nothing seems to move? Can you keep trusting when every instinct screams impatience? Waiting is one of God's greatest teachers. It reveals what you believe about Him. Many can worship when doors open, but few can praise when silence lingers. Yet it is in that silence where faith matures. It's in the waiting that you learn the difference between wanting God's blessing and trusting His will. Every time you choose patience, heaven takes note. Every day you refuse to give up, your miracle grows closer, and when it finally happens, it won't come through chaos. It will arrive quietly, naturally, without struggle. It will feel as though it was always meant to be, because it was. That's how divine timing feels. Effortless after years of endurance. When God brings something into your life, It never needs to be forced. You won't have to beg for it, chase it, or compromise to keep it. It will come clothed in peace, not panic. It will fit like it was designed for you, because it was. That's when you'll realize he was never late. You were being refined for the right hour. The miracle of divine timing is that it redeems every second of waiting. Nothing is wasted. Every delay serves a purpose. You'll one day understand. When the promise finally unfolds, it will carry within it the wisdom of your waiting, the strength of your perseverance, and the beauty of his precision. So be still, don't rush what was meant to ripen. God's clock is never early, never late. It's perfect. When your time comes, it will not be subtle. It will be unmistakable. The doors will open, the paths will clear, and the blessings will flow in a way that only heaven could arrange. And in that moment you'll realize what felt like waiting was never a pause in progress. It was the gentle, deliberate heartbeat of God's perfect timing. Every closed door has a voice. It whispers disappointment, echoes rejection, and makes you question your worth. You stand before it, knocking, pleading, hoping it will open just one more time, but it doesn't. And when the silence grows louder than your prayers, you begin to wonder if God turned his face away. But he didn't. He simply redirected your steps. Because sometimes rejection is not God's punishment. It's his protection. It is not the end of your story. It's a redirection towards something greater, something designed specifically for you. You see, every rejection holds a secret assignment. It may feel like a setback, but in truth, it's a compass. When a door closes, it's because the path behind it no longer leads to your purpose. God uses rejection to guide you away from comfort and toward calling. It hurts, yes, but it also heals, because it detaches you from what was never meant to carry you into your destiny. He knows what will build you and what will break you. So he removes what looks good to preserve what is right. Think about the people who walked away from you, the ones you thought you couldn't live without. At the time, their absence felt like loss. You cried, you begged, you tried to understand why they left. But look at you now. Stronger, wiser, closer to God. Sometimes the exit of a person is the entrance of clarity. The people who rejected you were unknowingly releasing you from a story that could never fulfill your potential. They had to leave so you could see who you are without their shadow. Rejection also teaches you the value of redirection. When you fix your eyes on something you think you need, your heart becomes attached to outcomes instead of obedience, and God, in his mercy, interrupts that attachment. He closes the door, not to punish your desire, but to purify it. He wants your faith to rest not in what you chase, but in who you follow. So he removes distractions disguised as opportunities. The truth is, rejection hurts because we mistake it for failure. But failure only exists when you stop moving forward. God's redirection is movement. It's momentum with meaning. It might look like a detour, but in heaven's map it's the shortest path to where you're meant to be. Every no is pushing you toward a yes that won't just open a door, it will open destiny. Imagine Joseph again, sold by his brothers, betrayed, forgotten. Every rejection along his journey seemed cruel, but what he couldn't see was the pattern hidden in the pain. Each no brought him closer to Pharaoh's palace. Each betrayal positioned him for elevation. If even one door in his past had remained open, he would never have stood in the place God destined him to rule. That is what divine redirection does. It transforms rejection into revelation. Your rejection is not a reflection of your inadequacy. It's a revelation of your assignment. You were not meant to be everywhere, please everyone, or hold on to everything. The path of purpose is narrow, and sometimes God must remove people and opportunities so that you can fit through. The pruning hurts, but it purifies, and when the right season arrives, you'll see how rejection carves space for miracles. One day you will look back and realize that every person who rejected you was a part of your guidance system. Every door that closed was steering you toward alignment. You'll see that rejection didn't delay you. It protected you from wasting time on things too small for your calling. Rejection is not the wall that blocks your blessing, it's the bridge that leads you to it. Every no was a sacred whisper saying, "Not this, my child. Not yet." And when the right moment comes, the same pain that once felt unbearable will make sense. You'll realize that every closed door was a doorway to destiny, disguised as disappointment. So stop mourning what didn't work out. Stop questioning your worth because of who walked away or what didn't choose you. If it was meant for you, it would have stayed. If it left, it was never meant to be part of the story God is still writing. He knows exactly what belongs in your next chapter, and He's editing out what doesn't fit. Because every rejection is redirection, and every redirection is grace. You may not see it yet, but you are being guided step by step away from imitation and toward the real thing. One day, you'll thank God not just for the doors that opened, but for the ones that didn't. There comes a moment in every life when the waiting feels unbearable. You've prayed, worked, believed, and still nothing seems to move. You start to question whether what slipped through your fingers will ever return. But here's the sacred truth. God never wastes what He intends to redeem. Every opportunity that feels missed, every dream that seems delayed, is waiting for your readiness, because when God restores, He doesn't just give you back what you lost. He gives it back transformed, multiplied, and matured for your good. You see, timing is not just about when something happens. It's about who you are when it happens. God's blessings are perfect, but they require a prepared vessel. It's not enough for the opportunity to be ready. You must be ready too. There's a reason He allows seasons of silence, stretches of solitude, and stretches of struggle. Those are the classrooms of heaven. They teach endurance, sharpen character, and build humility. They strip away the ego that demands instant results and replace it with the strength that can sustain divine purpose. Imagine giving a child a crown before they understand what it means to rule. The weight would crush them. In the same way, God withholds certain blessings until your spirit is strong enough to carry their responsibility. Sometimes the blessing you prayed for would have broken you had it arrived too soon, so He withholds not out of cruelty but out of compassion. The waiting is not punishment, it's preparation. This is why missed opportunities are never truly missed. They are delayed appointments with destiny. When the right season comes, the very things you thought were gone will reappear. Refined, restored, and perfectly timed. God doesn't recycle the past, He resurrects it. What was once dead in your eyes is still alive in His plan. The moment you grow into alignment with His purpose, what once seemed lost finds its way back to you effortlessly. Think of Moses. Raised in Pharaoh's palace, he had access to influence and power. But when he acted too soon, killing the Egyptian and trying to liberate his people by force, his opportunity collapsed. He fled into the wilderness, thinking his purpose had ended. Yet it was there, in solitude, that God prepared him for leadership. Years later, the same man who ran away returned with divine authority. The opportunity was not lost. It had been waiting for him to be transformed. That's how God works. He doesn't want you to reach success unprepared. He wants you to stand in your destiny as someone who can handle its weight. That's why the no you received back then was not rejection, it was protection. It was heaven's way of saying, "Not yet, my child, grow first, trust first, become first." And once you've become, what once fled from your grasp will come chasing after you. Sometimes what you thought you missed will return in an entirely different form. The relationship you lost may not come back as love, but as peace. The job that slipped away may return as purpose. The dream you buried may rise again as a calling that changes lives. God's restoration rarely looks like repetition. It looks like transformation. When you are ready, everything aligns. The doors open without force, the right people appear without effort, and the path clears without chaos. There's no striving, no fear, no anxiety, only flow. That is how you know the timing is divine. What once demanded your chasing will now seek you, because God doesn't just give opportunities back. He positions you where opportunities find you. So don't mourn what you think you missed. The same God who let it slip away is the God who can bring it back when both you and the blessing are prepared for each other. If He made you wait, it's because He intends to give you something permanent, not temporary. Something that will fit the person you've become, not the person you used to be. Your readiness unlocks heaven's release, and when it happens, you'll see how every delay had purpose. You'll look back and realize that what felt like missed opportunities were really divine rehearsals, preparing you for a stage you were always meant to stand on. When the miracle finally arrives, it won't just fill your hands, it will fulfill your heart. And in that moment, you'll understand that what you once called a loss was only waiting for the right version of you to show up and receive it. When God restores something, He never returns it in fragments. He doesn't simply give you back what you lost. He multiplies it, reshapes it, and transforms it into something far greater than before. His restoration is never about replacement. It's about revelation. It reveals why you had to lose what you did, why certain things were stripped away, and why the road to your blessing had to pass through pain. Because divine restoration doesn't give you what you once had, it gives you what you were always meant to have. When God brings something back, it carries the fingerprints of growth. It comes with wisdom, maturity, and peace. The pain you endured in the waiting becomes part of the blessing itself. Every tear, every disappointment, every sleepless night is gathered and woven into the miracle, giving it depth and meaning. What once broke you becomes the foundation for what now blesses you. Many people want restoration without refinement. They want God to rebuild what was broken without allowing Him to rebuild them. But God's process is never shallow. Before He restores what was taken, He restores who you are. He works on the inside first, healing your heart, renewing your faith, and reshaping your mindset. Because if He gave you back the blessing before transforming you, it would break again under the same weight that shattered it before. God's goal is not just to replace what you lost, it's to make sure the next version can't be destroyed. Think of Job. He lost everything, his wealth, his children, his health. For a season, it looked like God had abandoned him. But what Job didn't see was that his story was not about loss. It was about multiplication through endurance. When God restored Job, He didn't return the same measure. He doubled it. The man who once sat in ashes rose again in abundance, not just in possessions but in wisdom and reverence. The pain became the soil of prosperity. That is how divine restoration works. It never gives back the same thing, because the same thing would no longer fit the person you've become. God takes the pieces of your past, refines them through fire, and presents them back as something pure and permanent. What once brought sorrow now brings strength. What once wounded you now becomes your weapon. What once looked like the end becomes your elevation. Every scar from your journey becomes evidence of His grace. You begin to see that the things you lost were never wasted. They were exchanged. The heartbreak that emptied you made room for wisdom. The silence that scared you became the space where you heard God clearly. The failure that humiliated you turned into the lesson that lifted you. Restoration is never about regaining what you had. It's about discovering what you never knew you carried. Sometimes God will restore through addition, and other times through subtraction. He may not bring certain people back because their part in your story is finished. He may not reopen the same door because He's building an entirely new one. You may not receive the same opportunity, but you'll receive a greater one that matches the strength forged in your waiting. God's restoration redefines what you thought you wanted and replaces it with what you truly need. And when it comes, it will not come with struggle. You won't have to beg for it or chase it down. Divine restoration flows naturally. It finds you when your heart has finally learned to trust. It arrives when you no longer depend on the outcome, but on the one who holds it. That's when God multiplies what you thought was gone. You'll see His hand in everything, how every broken moment was part of a masterful rebuilding. When you experience that kind of restoration, it humbles you. It makes you realize that what you called loss was actually preparation. God wasn't trying to hurt you, He was trying to increase you. He allowed what was weak to fall away so that what was strong could stand. He replaced imitation with authenticity, dependency with destiny, and grief with gratitude. And when it all unfolds, you'll see that His restoration was never meant to return you to who you were. It was meant to reveal who you've become. You will no longer chase what you lost, because you'll realize that what you have now carries the weight of heaven's touch. God doesn't restore to the level of your loss. He restores to the level of your faith. What He gives back will be so great, so unexpected, and so complete that you'll look back and say, "Now I understand why I had to lose it first." There are few truths more comforting than this. The author of time never misses his cue. He writes the story of your life with precision so divine that even your detours are part of the design. Every moment, every delay, every heartbreak, every unanswered prayer is written in perfect sequence to lead you to the chapter that fulfills your purpose. You may not see it now, but God's pen never slips. He knows exactly when to turn the page, when to introduce a new character, and when to bring closure to an old one. We often panic when things don't unfold on our schedule. We think time has betrayed us, that the opportunities we longed for have expired. But God is not bound by clocks or calendars. He created them. What looks like a missed season to you is simply a divine pause in His eternal plan. He is never late. He is exact. When the time is right, not even the universe can delay what He has prepared for you. The struggle comes when we mistake His stillness for absence. You pray and hear nothing. You wait and see nothing. It feels as if heaven has gone silent. But silence is not abandonment. It is strategy. When a teacher is silent during an exam, it's not because they've left the room. It's because the student is being tested. In the same way, God's silence is a sign that He trusts the foundation He has built in you. And He doesn't need to explain what He's already planned. Trusting the author of time means surrendering your need to control the narrative. It means letting go of anxiety about what's ahead and resting in the assurance that the one who began your story will finish it beautifully. There is no missed opportunity, no wrong turn, no wasted year that can cancel His timing. What you thought was lost is merely waiting for its appointed hour. Think of how nature obeys this truth. The caterpillar doesn't rush its cocoon, nor does the flower bloom in winter. Everything unfolds when it's meant to. The seasons of your life work the same way. Some chapters are meant for sowing, some for pruning, and some for blossoming. If you tried to force spring before winter ended, you'd destroy the roots that need the cold to strengthen. God allows certain seasons to last longer than you'd like, not to punish you, but to prepare you for what's next. There's a moment in every journey when everything suddenly makes sense. The broken roads, the delays, the unanswered prayers. It's as if the fog lifts and you finally see what God was doing all along. You realize that the job you didn't get was leading you to your true calling, that the relationship that failed made room for peace, that the disappointment that broke you built the strength you would later need. Nothing was random. Every fragment of your story had purpose woven into it. When that realization comes, you'll stand in awe of how precisely He timed everything. The people who left did so just in time for new ones to enter. The doors that closed did so right before the right one opened. The heartbreak that slowed you down kept you from rushing into ruin. You'll see that even your pain had perfect timing. It came to shape you before your blessing arrived. To trust God's timing is to live with faith that doesn't need evidence. It's to believe that even when you don't understand the script, the author does. It's to know that He's arranging your life with the same care He gives to the stars, each in its place, each shining in its time. And when the moment finally arrives, the miracle, the opportunity, the breakthrough, you'll see how effortlessly it fits. You won't have to force it, beg for it, or fear losing it. It will come clothed in peace, confirming that it was always yours, waiting for you to grow into the person who could receive it. That's the beauty of divine timing. It's not just about getting what you want, it's about becoming who you were meant to be by the time you receive it. When you trust the author of time, you stop chasing and start flowing. You stop worrying about how long it takes and start thanking Him for how perfectly it will arrive. Because when God writes your story, nothing is early, nothing is late, and nothing is lost. Every word, every turn, every delay is deliberate. And when He brings it all together, you'll understand why He made you wait, so that when your moment came, it wouldn't just be good, it would be divine. And now, as you stand on the edge of what once felt like loss, you begin to see the truth that was hidden beneath every unanswered prayer. God was never withholding, He was weaving. Every delay had a design. Every heartbreak had a purpose. Every missed opportunity was not an ending, but a sacred alignment for something greater. You were never forgotten, only being refined for a moment that was already written in eternity. When you look back, you'll realize that what you called rejection was really direction. What you saw as silence was divine strategy. And what you believed was wasted time was actually holy preparation. The doors that closed protected your purpose. The seasons that broke you built your strength. Nothing was ever random, and nothing was ever lost. God does not restore halfway. He restores wholly, multiplying what was taken and redeeming what was delayed. The very moments you thought were your downfall will become the foundations of your destiny. He will not only turn your missed opportunities into miracles of timing, but He will use them to reveal who you've become through it all. Stronger, wiser, anchored in faith. So take a breath and trust again. The same God who allowed certain things to end is now orchestrating new beginnings. The story isn't over. It's unfolding exactly as it should. Soon you'll see how every closed door, every detour, and every delay were working together for your good. And when the miracle finally appears, when the blessing fits so perfectly it feels as though time itself waited for you, you'll smile through grateful tears and whisper, "Now I understand." Because it was never about what you lost. It was always about what God was preparing. His timing was never late, it was perfect.